All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a look at a video that was just released about 4 hours ago or so. And it is about some theories, which if it's true, we got it right. I don't know, last week or a couple weeks ago, where people were saying Tomasa surrounded was married to the one family member, and that family member uh, was shady, right? And it led to other people, uh, Dominic and possibly others, right? Possibly. Now, if that's true, these people are all innocent until proven guilty, but no one's really been cleared in this. I don't know how many times we've told people it's like the Delphi case. No one's been cleared until it's completely over. They'll tell you everyone's been cleared, but really, when it comes down to other agencies looking into it, maybe they're cleared by the police, but maybe the police knows that there's other people watching. So let's watch a little bit of this video that was put out. And I agree with some of it. Are we seeing the same guy in the same pants and shirt? Or is it other people? They keep walking away from the camera like 3 or 4 times, maybe more, because the camera only picked up so much. But was one guy coming dressed the same and then leaving, and then some other guy maybe dressed in them same clothes but might have been a little bit bigger, taller, and came in and then walked out and they changed? It's possible. Let's watch this video.
Not been identified. Not yet. Here is what the evidence actually shows. At 1:47 a.m. on Sunday, February 1st, 2026, the doorbell camera at a quiet residential home in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood of Tucson, Arizona, went offline. Not from a power failure, not from a technical glitch. The device was interfered with, physically. A figure approached the front door in the dark, attempted to knock the camera off its mount with light taps, and when that failed, covered the lens with foliage pulled from a potted plant nearby. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed this publicly when the Bureau released the footage 9 days later. The data, he stated, had been successfully recovered from the device despite the interference. 41 minutes later, at 2:28 a.m., a second digital signal went silent. The pacemaker app on Nancy Guthrie's phone, the application synced to the cardiac device, keeping an 84-year-old woman's heart in rhythm, disconnected.
In luge, races can be decided by 1,000th of a second. The last thing we need to be thinking about in those moments is payroll. Thankfully, we have Gusto. When athletes are racing at 90 miles per hour, Gusto helps us stay focused on performance.
Those 41 minutes are the operative window. That is when investigators believe Nancy Ellen Guthrie, mother of NBC Today, co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, was physically removed from the home she had lived in since 1985. Think about that for a moment. Someone planned this down to the signal. Nancy was not reported missing until noon that same day, February 1st, when family members arrived at her home after she failed to appear at church. Deputies arrived minutes after the 12:03 p.m. call. The Pima County Sheriff himself, Chris Nanos, I came to the scene. That alone tells you the weight of what investigators found when they walked through that property. Nanos later said publicly, You don't typically get the sheriff out at a scene like this, but it's very concerning what we're learning. Biological material confirmed as Nancy's was recovered from the front porch. The FBI joined the investigation within days and established a 24-hour command post in Tucson. The Pima County Sheriff made one thing immediately clear to the public. Nancy Guthrie did not wander. She could not have. Nanos stated directly, she couldn't walk 50 yards by herself. She was classified by investigators as a vulnerable adult, aged 84, with mobility limitations, reliant on daily medication, a pacemaker, and no known cognitive impairments. Whoever removed her from that residence understood all of that. They planned around it, and they accounted for the time it would take to move her. And they executed that plan in the dark, in under 41 minutes, without triggering a single neighbor response. This was not random. This was architecture. By February 10th, the FBI released still images and a short video clip from the doorbell camera. The footage showed a masked individual on Nancy's property, fully covered, ski mask, gloves, zipped jacket, carrying a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack sold exclusively at Walmart. What appeared to be a firearm secured in a belly band holster, worn incorrectly over the outside of a thick jacket. 2 days later, on February 12th, the FBI released a
I'm sorry, folks. I'm getting dinner ready. Now, this is pretty crazy, right? But this case, also like the Delphi case, went crazy with speculation theories, right? We all have them. But if you go back to that case and reference it, and the police coming out and saying, well, these people have been cleared. But then later on, we found that nobody was cleared in that case. That's still an ongoing case, I believe. So much like that here, no one's been cleared. We've heard in so many times in these cases that we watch on YouTube where, the media comes out or whatever, even police, these people have been cleared. But police, well, they lie, right? Because they're doing an investigation. They don't want people to know what they know, right? So here we are at square one again. Excuse me. Where everyone is a suspect, really. All right, let's continue to watch this.
physical profile of the subject based on forensic analysis of that footage. Male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall. Average build, dark facial hair, a mustache or goatee, visible beneath the lower edge of the mask. Former FBI Supervisory Special Agent and criminal profiler Jim Clemente, are reviewing the footage for Fox News Digital, identified what appeared to be a marking on the subject's right wrist, possibly a tattoo. His statement was precise. If confirmed through forensic analysis, that detail could help investigators rule individuals in or out of the suspect pool. That is not speculation. That is a trained former federal agent communicating that the FBI was already cross-referencing that physical marker against known individuals in the case. Write those numbers down. A 5'9" to 5'10". Average build. Dark facial hair.
Now, folks, I also want you to keep in mind that it's possible that they have the height off. We also seen that in the Delphi case, where they had the height and the weight off. They can get close, But it wouldn't shock me if this guy might have been 5'7", 5'8", and up to 6 foot. Yeah, depending on if there was other people involved, and also depending on the camera angle, it might make you appear to be bigger and taller than you really are compared to other angles of which the camera is picking up. So you might look real tall or real small, in the back of the camera, but as you get closer to the camera, you get taller. So it's like a a figment of our imagination. So, and if it is true that there was, and there's very possible other people involved, one or two people there, maybe three, then yeah, yeah, it's possible that it, we might be seeing two different people or one person. But it keeps changing the way I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's watch some more of this video.
Possible wrist marking. Hold them. They are going to matter in a way most of the coverage of this case has failed to fully explain. Now, before we go any further, if you are new to this channel and this case pulled you here through the algorithm, through a share, through someone who told you to watch this, welcome. Drop a comment right now and tell us where you are watching from and what time it is there. Seriously. And people from across the country and around the world have been to Nancy's home near the side of a road on February 13th. A second profile recovered from biological material found inside the residence. The two profiles do not match each other. They do not match any member of the Guthrie family. And as of the latest reporting, neither profile has returned a match in CODIS, the FBI's National Criminal Database. So, you have a family cleared. Oh, and you have biological evidence of two individuals who have not been identified. Those two facts are not in conflict. They are pointing at the same gap. The gap between who investigators have formally cleared and who left forensic material at this scene. And right now, a private laboratory in Florida is running analysis on that second profile. An investigative genetic genealogy, the same methodology used to identify the Golden State Killer after 4 decades, has been initiated on both profiles. The databases are already running. This is where Tommaso Cioni and Dominic Evans enter the frame, not as verdicts, as a forensic framework. Because the man on that porch, the man the FBI described as 5'9" to 5'10", connects to both names through a trail of records, timelines, and documented relationships that this investigation is going to walk through piece by piece. And here is the detail that the height measurement makes impossible to ignore. Multiple investigative journalists who analyzed photographs of Tommaso Cioni standing next to individuals of publicly known height concluded he exceeds the FBI's physical estimate. Some placed him closer to 6 feet. If that analysis is accurate, Cioni does not match the physical profile of the figure on the porch. But the second name? The drummer from a 2007 Craigslist ad who has stood next to Cioni in band photographs for 19 years, and who has a criminal record in Pima County, Arizona, and lives within the same geographic triangle as Nancy's home. That name fits the numbers. This is not a conclusion. Not yet. The DNA is still running. The genealogy databases are still being built. The Walmart backpack purchase records are being traced. But the belly band holster is being tracked through gun stores across Tucson. The cell tower data from the early morning hours of February 1st and from January 23rd, when a figure was captured on a neighbor's Ring camera, appearing to conduct a route rehearsal 9 days before the abduction, is being cross-referenced.
Well, it's very possible they did dry runs. Possibly 9 days before this. Maybe. You might want to go back a month or so, maybe a little longer, and see if you see anybody out there walking around. That very well it could have been a dry run or recon to scope out the place before they did it.
Referenced by federal investigators. The investigation is in its most critical window right now. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She has a pacemaker. She has been missing for 4 weeks. She was specifically targeted in her home by someone, or more than one person, who knew her residence, her routines, and her vulnerability. The science will deliver a name. It always does. But between now and that name, there is a 19-year documented relationship, a criminal record, a physical description, and 2 DNA profiles that tell the story of exactly how carefully this was planned. And
For all we know, one of them DNAs is a woman. Oh, something fishy about this case. Much like the Delphi case. They had 100 and something strands of hair and other DNA that we didn't know about. They didn't test. No, I'll be shocked if it's there's 2 sets of DNA. If it's both males, then you got two dudes there. But here's what I'm trying to point out to people. Tomas always has a huge beard and mustache. Hello, Miss ATS News. Folks, make sure you check out Miss ATS News channel at 8 o'clock tonight. But he always has a big beard and a huge mustache. Now, is it possible he shaved? It's possible. Do we have any photos of him from a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it is, a month? Did he shave? Because if he hasn't, then we would be seeing that mustache and beard popping out from the mask, meaning we might not see all the hair, but there would be bulges above his lips. There would be bulges of hair underneath the ski mask, right? Because he always has a thick beard in all the photos we've seen, and he's got thick, giant caterpillar eyebrows. But we ain't seeing that in the ringtone of the mask guy. So either he shaved and he's got a scar on his lip, or we got something else going on there. Now, does he have to be there to be a part of this? No. He don't even have to be there to be a part of this. He is the last person that saw her. If she was dropped off. All right, let's continue watching this.
exactly how many people it took to execute it. That story starts in April of 2007 with a Craigslist ad in Tucson, Arizona. and it runs straight through to the masked figure on a porch at 1:47 in the morning, 19 years later. Let's build it from the ground up. Before we go deeper into the evidence, before we pull apart the forensics and the names and the criminal records and the DNA, you need to know who this woman actually is. Because investigators don't solve cases for statistics, they solve them for people. See, and Nancy Guthrie is not a statistic.
Diablo's 4-cutter full duracarbide head.
Long on January 27, 1942, in Fort Wright, Kentucky, a small suburb just across the Ohio River from Cincinnati. She was raised Catholic. She attended an all-girls elementary school. She enrolled at the University of Kentucky, where she worked the student newspaper, the Kentucky Colonel, as a society editor. A young woman with a
Hey, Millicent Maga Hagenbotham. No, I have no room in my shed for you people. It's all garage sale, yard sale crap. No, idiots. What is wrong with these people? Are they that dumb, or are they that desperate to set me up or something? Because this country now belongs to me. I don't know, these bunch of idiots. He's making a skin suit. No, I'm not making no skin suit. You people must be that stupid. You're playing right into my lawyer's hands. Many of them. This town might be LaGrange, home of Johnny Kramer's.
sharp eye for a story and the discipline to report it accurately. Sound familiar? That instinct, but that precision. She passed it down. At a University of Kentucky basketball game, she met Charles Errol Guthrie on a blind date, a mining engineer from Pineville. They married on December 28, 1963. Charles's work carried them around the world. They lived in Melbourne, Australia, long enough for their youngest daughter to be born there, Savannah, on December 27, 1971. Then came Tucson.
Crikey. Crikey. Are they illegals from Australia? I'm not sure. Crikey. All right, let's continue.
The family settled into a burnt adobe home in the Catalina foothills near North Campbell Avenue and East Skyline Drive in the early 1970s. Nancy was 30 years old. She had 3 children, a husband whose work kept him moving, and a quiet neighborhood in the desert.
Why does this little woman here seem like she's... Why? I don't understand it. Why Savannah looks like just, I can't believe this, or something's weird. Look at the one on the end, the other daughter that's married to Tommaso Monte. And then you got is that the brother or her husband? That's next to her. I think that's her husband. I don't know what's going on here. One of these people might be. Now, I want to also keep in mind to people that the police or FBI or somebody removed a bunch of documents from that house. And if you ask me, the guy that's walking up on the ringtone seems to have, I know this sounds crazy, but his arms are too round, almost like he's got paperwork in his arms and paperwork in his stomach area because it's too flat. It's like a squared off thing, and his arms are so round. And the jacket is so perfectly round. Is there paperwork wrapped around it? I don't know. What were they in there for? Right? What was this? Was it a robbery? Or was it a hunt for documentation or something? I don't know. Let's keep going. And I did say that before in another video. It almost looked like the guy that was walking up to the ringtone was dressed for prison battle, like he had phone books wrapped around his stomach and back so he didn't get shanked. Right? Prison, they shank you. Shank, shank, shank. But this might have happened, the ringtone camera might have happened after they were already done. They already got the paperwork they needed. And they're gone, right? With Nancy, maybe. Maybe Nancy wasn't even there. She was already somewhere else. Maybe this whole thing that they're saying never even occurred. Listen, Hagenbithen, can you please behave yourself?
That she would never really leave. Then, June 10th, 1988. Charles Guthrie died suddenly of a heart attack during a mining trip in Mexico. He was 49. Savannah was 16 years old, about to start her senior year of high school. Nancy was 46. She didn't fold. She rebuilt. She went to work at the University of Arizona in 1990, first as a spokesperson for the University Medical Center, then as an associate to the vice president of university advancement. She organized the Center Stage program, bringing live musicians into the hospital each month for staff, patients, and visitors. She ran MedCamp, a program introducing Arizona high school students to the medical field. She did this work for nearly 17 years until January 1st, 2007. And her colleagues described her as someone who made the work upbeat, who led with energy, who showed up the same way every single day. Ask yourself, what kind of person keeps getting up after that kind of loss? At 46, widowed, 3 children, desert Southwest, starting over. Nancy Guthrie is that kind of person. Sharp, independent, rooted. By 2026, she was 84 years old, still living alone in that same Catalina Foothills home she had moved into more than 5 decades earlier. The Pima County Sheriff Chris Nenos described her publicly as sharp as a tack, no cognitive impairment, mentally alert. But physically, the years had narrowed her range. She had a pacemaker managing a chronic cardiac condition. She relied on daily medication. Her mobility was significantly limited. She was, in the legal language used by investigators, a vulnerable adult. She played mahjong. She attended Bible study. She hosted dinners. She never missed Sunday church.
Another thing I want to point out to you folks, keep in mind that this little lady never went to church. She did an online thing. And the only reason they contacted her and was worried because she did not pay her tithes. And they contacted her. So we really don't know how long it's really been since she talked to the church people. Okay? No one actually seen her. Even though she was there online for church, nobody actually seen her face. So we don't know if actually it was her or someone else. Now, I want to keep in mind to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we also had covered a case on this channel of the Gabby Petito case where Brian Laundrie had her phone, which we might see that maybe the killer in the Idaho 4 possibly had the phone messaging people. Maybe. Excuse me. So keep that in mind.
Church at St. Andrew's Presbyterian. And on the evening of January 31st, 2026, she had dinner with her daughter Annie and son-in-law Tommaso Cioni. Routine, familiar. The kind of evening that happens in every family. Someone comes over, you eat, You talk, they take you home.
I also want to keep in mind to the people out there that we have no idea that this story, this news channel, or the story that they're telling is even true. We have not seen any evidence of Mrs. Nancy Guthrie leaving that area, that house, and coming home. Okay, she kind of looks like a lady out here that sells real estate on the billboard out there. Yeah, well, you don't know. Maybe. So, is she running? We don't know if any of this stuff they're telling us is true. The media coming out. Well, they said the family's been cleared. No one's been cleared because we've seen the authorities turn around and say no one's been cleared after they made an arrest on somebody they said was cleared. So, as far as we're concerned on this channel, this is still an open game. Could be anybody still. What they keep saying we got DNA. All right, well let's get that because you might have something here with the DNA. We might find out it's a man and woman. We might find out it's you know two men, but there was actually more involved. We don't know. Could have been the gardener. It could have been the candlestick maker, and Jack jumped over the. Yeah, it could be many things. We don't know.
Sione dropped her off at her Catalina Foothills residence at approximately 9:50 p.m. She walked inside. The front door closed behind her. That was the last confirmed sighting of Nancy Guthrie by anyone who knew her. The next morning, a member of her church noticed she hadn't appeared for the scheduled live stream of the Sunday service. A call was made to the family. Relatives arrived at her home around 11 a.m. They searched the property. They found no sign of her, but they found her phone still inside. Her personal belongings still inside. Every essential item exactly where it should be. Everything except Nancy. They called 911 at noon. And from the moment deputies walked through that front door, this stopped being a wellness check and became something else entirely. The Pima County Sheriff arrived personally, and the evidence found at that property, the biological material confirmed as Nancy's near the front entrance, the disabled camera, the pacemaker app that had gone offline at 2:28 a.m., told investigators everything they needed to know about what had happened in that house in the dark. This was not a woman who wandered. And this was not confusion or disorientation or a fall in the desert. This was a woman with a pacemaker and limited mobility who had been specifically chosen, specifically targeted, in a home she had lived in for 5 decades.
We also want the people it to be noticed that this little lady did not have to be at her home for her phone, iWatch, and all that to report there, to report anywhere without seeing a face. And that's what I'm telling you, folks. That's what I'm telling you. Oh, well, her phone pinged there. Did you see her face? Well, her phone was there. Did you see her face? Did you see footage of her getting out of the vehicle and going into her daughter's and Tomas's house for dinner? Simple thing to show the American people, right? Here she is walking up to the house of Tomas. Well, here's a camera of her. Without that, you don't need nothing but her heart monitor, which just stuck to her chest by a piece of double-sided tape. That can be ripped off. Her phone and her Apple Watch. And anybody could have been Miss Nancy. So keep that also in mind.
By someone who knew exactly what they were walking into. That detail, the precision of it, is what makes the next name matter. It starts with a normal Saturday evening. At 5:32 p.m. on January 31st, 2026, Nancy Guthrie ordered an Uber from her Catalina Foothills home and rode to her daughter Annie's house for dinner. Family game night. The kind of evening that happens in every household, in every city, unremarkable by design. Investigators later.
I also want to present, we have no idea if she Ubered there or not. What are we not seeing on the news or all over the YouTube? Is them interviewing the Uber driver. My God, this is the Uber driver that picked up Mrs. Nancy Guthrie and dropped her off. What did you notice about her? Did you notice anything, sir? We're not seeing this guy anywhere. There's some man right here.
Confirmed they spoke with that Uber driver. The ride to Annie's house was clean. Nothing unusual. She stayed for hours, ate dinner, played games. Then Tommaso Cioni, her son-in-law, married to Annie since 2006, drove her home. At exactly 9:48 p.m., his vehicle pulled up to her residence. The garage door opened at 9:50 p.m. Investigators timestamp that moment as the last confirmed point at which authorities know Nancy Guthrie was inside her own home, alive.
I want to also install here and keep in mind that there is no footage of this little lady coming home or leaving on the internet, nowhere. I don't know. Folks, make sure you get over there to Miss ATS News Channel tonight at 8 o'clock. Or I'll be doing two things possibly here if it gets crazy.
And unharmed. Cioni waited until she was inside before pulling away. That detail has been verified. The desert went quiet. Then the clocks become the evidence. At 1:47 a.m., Sunday.
Can I ask these people who verified that? Without having footage of this on camera? It's been verified. She was dropped off and he just drove away. Well, who verified it? And what do you think once he got home and the daughter seen, oh my God, you just dropped her off and she's missing. Now, don't you think the daughter would have went to the police? I think my boyfriend or husband or whoever, it might have done something bad to my mother. Him and his, maybe mafia they're talking about. Mamma Nizze della Monte. Yeah, he's from Sicily. He grew tomatoes from a Mazzinente mountain. From the Italy gods. Yeah, this is getting ugly.
February 1st, 3 hours and 57 minutes after that garage door closed, the doorbell camera at Nancy's front entrance disconnected. Not a power failure. The device was physically interfered with. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed the data was recovered from the hardware despite that interference. At 2:12 a.m., motion detection software on a second camera registered movement on the property. But no footage was saved. Say Nancy had not maintained an active cloud subscription with the provider, which meant the system detected what was happening but had no mechanism to record it. 25 seconds of movement in the dark. Nothing stored. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker app. The software synced to the cardiac device managing her heart rhythm. Disconnected from her phone. 41 minutes from camera interference to pacemaker signal loss. That is the operative window. That is when investigators believe she was physically removed from the residence she had occupied.
See, there's discrepancies here because if that pacemaker was being monitored by her phone or another place and it disconnected, does that mean the pacemaker is no longer working? Therefore, she's deceased or somebody did something, right? Because pacemakers, I found out on the black market, are worth a lot of money, just like regular body organs and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. Now, how old is this case? I don't know. Didn't that John Hagenmascher out in Pennsylvania or whatever, that guy that dug up bones and had like 100 bodies in his house, didn't he have a body hanging up? Small body with a pacemaker? I mean, how long? I mean, like I told you, without anybody actually seeing this woman alive, other than what the family is saying, this woman could have been gone for a long time. What else did John Hagenmash, whatever his name was, out in Pennsylvania, the guy that was robbing graves and doing all kinds, what did he have in common here with these guys if it was connected with Tommaso and the rock and or heavy metal music? That John Hockenmacher dude, whatever his name was. I forget it. I covered that case, but I forget his last name. The guy that dug up all them bodies. He also was into the music thing.
For over 5 decades. At 11:56 a.m. the following morning, family members arrived after Nancy failed to appear for her virtual church service. They searched the property for several minutes, found her phone, her belongings, every essential item present, except Nancy. They called 911 at 12:03 p.m. Deputies arrived at 12:15 p.m. Sheriff Chris Nanos arrived personally. And investigators also confirmed signs of forced entry at the property, and biological material confirmed through DNA testing as Nancy's was recovered near the front entrance. Within
All right, so now they're saying there's signs of forced entry, but did these people make it appear there was a forced entry? Did they make it appear there was? When they walked right in, did whatever, they might have been there. Who knows? Maybe she was there. Maybe this all did happen. He dropped her off. Right? He leaves, but maybe there was other people there waiting for him to get home. He acts like he's leaving. So Tomas leaves, but he parks the car somewhere, blacks out the lights, and he comes back. Maybe there's someone else there waiting with him. Maybe people come. We don't know. It's possible. But I could tell you this much. If that was Tomas that we're seeing right there, for one, we would be seeing real thick eyebrows, and they would be noticeable through the mask. Also, that giant, thick mustache that Tomas had and beard, you would be seeing it through the ski mask. When they got a side view of him, and he's walking up, and they took that side view of him walking up, you would see that this guy must have a thick beard or mustache, because it would be puffing out the ski mask above his lips and stuff. But we're not seeing that in this video of this mask guy.
In hours, the investigation transitioned from a missing persons call to a federal kidnapping case. Now, here is where the 4-hour window becomes forensically significant. and where the first name enters the frame. Tommaso Cioni dropped Nancy off at 9:48 p.m. He confirmed she was inside. He drove away. But the next confirmed event is the camera interference at 1:47 a.m. That gap, from 9:50 p.m. to 1:47 a.m., is the window investigators examined. Not because Cioni is charged with anything, he has not been, but because those 4 hours represent the span of time between the last confirmed safe moment and the beginning of the forensic record. Investigators followed that logic. The FBI searched Annie and Tommaso's Tucson home on February 4th, then returned again. The 5 separate visits total. Each return to a home in an active federal investigation carries operational weight. You do not send agents back 5 times for courtesy calls. Publicly documented scrutiny also placed Cioni's power of attorney document under examination.
Now, you see this beard? If this dude still had a beard like that, you'd be seeing that under the ski mask. Even if he had a beard like this giant one he's got and these thick eyebrows, he would have had to shave. Someone must have seen him like a day after the. There has to be someone out there that's seen him the day after this all broke and said, you know what, that dude shaved. Right? A day before, a couple days before, he shaved everything off pretty much. That's the kind of evidence you would need. Yeah, he always had a thick beard, right? But wow, that's crazy because a couple days before this, he shaved everything off. Just had a weird, it changed his whole thing up. Shaved them caterpillar eyebrows, right? Got them manicured or whatever. I don't know. Is it possible to do? Well, yeah, if he did it and then he's gone. Where is he? You know, what did he look like afterwards? Yeah. Folks, make sure you get over there and talk, check out Miss ATS News, who is getting ready to go live shortly, where I might be doing 2 things at once.
Examination. An unverified document circulating online showed Tommaso had transferred a durable power of attorney to Annie for purposes relating to a specific property transaction. Legal analysts who reviewed it noted this type of document is standard in real estate loan closings when one party cannot attend. It is common. It appears in thousands of transactions across Arizona annually. Official sources confirmed it is not connected to the criminal investigation, but the timing of its public circulation in the middle of a federal kidnapping case fed the speculation. Here is the counterforce to all of that. Sheriff Nanos publicly confirmed that Guthrie family members and their spouses, including Cioni, have been cleared. That statement exists. It is on record. But ask yourself what cleared means in the context of an active FBI kidnapping investigation with 2 unidentified DNA profiles still running through genealogy databases. Cleared does not mean the same thing in a press release as it does in a courtroom. It means the current evidence does not support bringing charges at this moment. It does not mean the case is closed around any individual. It does not mean new evidence cannot reframe everything. And there is one detail embedded inside that 4-hour window that has not received enough attention. When Cioni walked Nancy to her front door at 9:48 p.m., confirmed she was inside, and pulled away, did he verify the outer gate was secured behind him? That detail has never been asked publicly. And the figure captured on camera in the early hours of February first moved through Nancy's property without any visible sign of forcing the outer barrier. No prying.
All right, there is no outer gate on that property. I wonder if the guy means the door, the screen door that was metal. But there is no gate. No. There was no gate on that property except for the backyard, but why would Tomas be worried about the back gate, right? All he did was drop her off and go in the house. Why would he be going to the backyard and seeing if the gate was secure, right? Are you telling me that she was already getting uh, messages that somebody was walking around before she even got home and they dropped her off alone? I don't know. That's pretty crazy. That's what we'd have to see. Yo, Miss Debbie Fox, how you doing? Folks, make sure you get over there to Miss ATS News' channel. Check it out. She's going to be going. She's covering it too. Everybody's on this. What is she doing? She's supposed to be live tonight. Why is she? Here I am promoting her show for tonight, and it's for tomorrow night. What is going on here? This is too much. What is that? Live in 24 hours. It's supposed to be. Is there how many lives she got, Sky? Let's see. That's the only one upcoming. No, she was going live tonight. She just came in here and said she was going live. She has company. Are you kidding? Tonight is Watts night. You know what these Watts people will do to her and her family if she don't go Watts 24/7? I don't know. We wish her luck. Her family can't come into this. This is her bread and butter. Talking like an idiot. Because I am.
No tools, no delay at the gate. The subject moved like someone who already knew the path was clear. That is not a conclusion. It is a question the 4-hour window demands. And the answer, along with the identity of the person who moved through that.
Debbie, she came into chat and I said, folks, and she commented, I'm going, she messaged me. She's going live at 8. I don't want to have to show the receipts, but she told me she was going
Gate
live.
at 1:47 in the morning is where the next layer of this case begins.
The next layer.
Because in April of 2007, nearly 2 decades before any of this happened, Tommaso Cioni responded to a classified ad in the Tucson Weekly. And the man he met through that ad has a criminal record, lives minutes from Nancy's home, and...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tommaso. Now, if this guy, if we see this guy again on camera, and this dude looks like this, or there's footage of him, and he looks like this with this giant beard and these eyebrows, if there's footage of him afterwards, and this guy, then that ain't him in the ringtone camera. Not unless this dude shaved. But this giant mustache, we would be seeing definitely through that ski mask, meaning when he came walking up to the camera and they got that side view of him walking up, we would see that mustache and we would see the bulge of that giant beard. Even if he had the ski mask covered over it, we would be able to tell if the camera picked him up from the side and we're seeing a profile, we'd be able to tell that dude's got either a big mustache or a beard or something. And we're not seeing that in the ringtone guy. Now, he could have shaved, but then we would need someone to come forward and say a couple days before this dude shaved, or he didn't have any of this giant stuff. That's the kind of evidence we need. Of course, all these people are innocent until proven guilty.
Matches the FBI's physical description of the figure on that porch almost exactly. 9 days. That is how long the public waited before they saw what investigators had been staring at since the morning of February 1st. On February 10th, 2026, an FBI director, Kash Patel, posted 6 black and white photographs and 3 video clips directly to his social media account. He described what they showed with precision. An individual wearing a ski mask, gloves, a backpack, and a firearm secured in a front holster, approaching Nancy Guthrie's front door in the pre-dawn darkness. The footage had been buried. The Google Nest doorbell camera had been interfered with. But the FBI partnered with Google directly and extracted the data from residual files stored in the device's back-end systems. That detail matters. Whoever was on that porch believed the footage was gone. They were wrong. Watch the footage carefully, and the behavioral tells are immediate. The subject approaches with what former FBI Special Agent Brianna Fox described as an almost casual confidence, as though...
Did she say Mrs. Fox? What were you withholding from us, Fox Mulder? That's right. I heard her say your last name. So you were withholding this information from us. Is that what you're telling me? It was his buddy in the ring cam. Well, it possibly could be. It could have been 2 or 3 people in the ring cam. And they were making us think.
Oh, this is familiar territory. Fox's exact observation was that the figure almost saunters up like that's his house. Former FBI Assistant Director Andrew McCabe, also reviewing the footage, noted the approach was not particularly furtive or concerned. This is not the body language of someone acting on impulse. This is someone who has already run the route. The subject first attempts to block the camera lens with a gloved hand. When that fails, the individual reaches toward a nearby potted plant, pulls out a shrub, and uses the foliage to obstruct the device. It takes multiple attempts. Former Pima County SWAT deputy Rob Krieger, with 3...
Another thing I want to suggest to the people, we don't know what he was grabbing, if there was even a flower pot or maybe possibly a planted key to the house, possibly a planted garage door opener. We don't know. A lot of people are seeing, I was seeing mob crime or crime mob crew or whatever it is, and he was saying that them rocks moved. Now, it's very possible that they had something already stashed there. Now, if there was a code to get in the house, it could have been an RF sniffer or a frequency sniffer to get a code or whatever to get in the house. If it was a key, maybe she had a spare key on the outside of the house just in case Mrs. Guthrie lost her keys because she was older. It's very possible. We don't know. Or in case of an emergency, a family member would be able to get in. So we don't know if them rocks moved or if anything was planted there. We did know he grabbed some plants, but also before that, he was monkeying around over there. So it's possible something like that happened. Miss Fox said, still how I feel. From the beginning, I thought it was Tommaso and his bandmates. Yeah, we got it right again, Miss Fox. If that's what happened. Right, JLR threw the names out in the arrest record. But what we did was compared the photos that were out, eye matches, to the mask guy. So it's a team thing. It's all a team thing. And Miss Fox is right. She still thinks Tomas, and it's possible. It's very well possible. It also could be someone totally different, just a crazy cuckoo. Now, let me see what else is going on. So how come all the family has been on camera? Where was Tomato Head at supporting his family. Exactly. Exactly. We had the three kids or the two kids on camera, but without Tomas. This is very fishy. Now, if it is Tomas, where is he? He might be on somewhere the mountains of Italy by now, praying to the Italy gods because he's from Italy, to the great tomato in the sky. Maybe.
3 decades of operational experience told News Nation this sequence of movements suggests someone operating without professional training rather than a seasoned operative. His words, the way the subject carries the firearm, to the way the holster sits on the body. There's just a lot of things that seem off. Two former FBI supervisory special agents independently assessed the firearm holster arrangement. Retired FBI agent Steve Moore told CNN the holster appeared to be designed for a large-frame revolver, while the weapon appeared to be a compact semi-automatic pistol. His assessment was blunt. They do not match. The holster is worn incorrectly, across the center of the waist, on the outside of a thick jacket. It tells investigators two things simultaneously. This person wanted to be seen as armed, and this person does not handle these tools regularly. Now, 2 days after the footage dropped, on February 12th, the FBI's Video Forensic Analysis Unit completed their on-site assessment. A white tent had been erected over Nancy's front entrance, specifically constructed to replicate the nighttime lighting conditions from the early morning of February 1st. Agents dressed in replica clothing and carrying an identical 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack, the subject's pack, a private label brand sold exclusively at Walmart, and ran the measurements under infrared. Former FBI Executive Assistant Director Joshua School told CNN this height determination technology is extremely accurate. The result?
Current lessees of an eligible competitive luxury brand vehicle get this.
The subject is a male, 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall, average build. Dark facial hair, a mustache or goatee visible beneath the lower.
Now, see this side view? If that was Tomas and Tomas had that giant beard, right? If this happened and broke news and everyone's like, where's Tomas? And the next day they see Tomas and he's got a full beard and mustache, then that ain't him because we would see that massive bulge of hair from his chin and his underneath his mustache through this mask. But we're not seeing that. We'd also see the giant thick eyebrows, but what we're seeing here is what appear to be manicured eyebrows from what my one of my mods was saying, Miss Fox. Let's see what Miss Fox is saying. I'm sorry, Debbie. I had to take a break there for a minute and let it play a little long because I had to call my little brother and make sure he shut his crock pot off. He was making dinner. Let's see. He should have been supporting his wife, Annie. Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason. Maybe it's possible he has an arrest record or they didn't want to show him, or he split town. He got the documentation that he needed from the house and he split. He's gone. He's on his way to Tomato Island. Right? And if you ask me, if we're looking at this video here, his arms and things look different. I don't know. Maybe. Well, at least the front of them is like real squared, almost like there's something underneath there, whether it be, I don't know. I don't know, but it looks too like cardboard or paper or something underneath that jacket or something. I mean, I could be wrong.
Or edge of the mask. Then Jim Clemente weighed in, former FBI supervisory special agent, criminal profiler, 2 decades of behavioral analysis. Reviewing the footage for Fox News Digital, Clemente identified what appeared to be a marking on the subject's right wrist, visible in the infrared footage through the gap between the glove and the jacket sleeve, possibly a tattoo. His position was measured and deliberate, if confirmed through forensic analysis, and that single physical marker could help investigators rule individuals into or out of the suspect pool entirely. A possible wrist tattoo on the right wrist of a figure whose face no one can see. Write that detail next to the numbers, 5'9" to 5'10". Average build, dark facial hair, possible wrist marking, right side. Hold the full picture in your head. Because the
Now, folks, I'm going to be honest with you out there. On this channel, I can't say that I seen a marking on the wrist. I didn't. And I looked over the footage pretty good. Now, maybe, I'm not saying it's not there, but I didn't see anything, no markings at all on his wrist. But if here's the thing, the jacket is so tight around his wrist, right? As we're seeing it right now, then it's possible we see him, he leaves, he makes entry into the house, he gets whatever, but the next time we see him, he's kind of like his arms are more round, right? And if he's got something wrapped around inside, like a documentation or something, this is just a theory, a scenario, whatever, then it would leave a gap. And if he did put his hand up to that, then maybe there was a gap that I'm not seeing. And you were able to see down his arm, then exposing a tattoo or a marking or whatever. But I personally, I cannot say that on this channel because I didn't see it. To me, it looks like when this is all said and done, his arms look more round or something. Like his forearms seem more round and more puffy. I don't know. Maybe he put another jacket on or something underneath. Debbie Fox is saying the same thing. She did not see it. We went through this footage a couple times. I didn't see no tattoo. Now, I'm not saying the guy don't have one, but personally, I didn't see one. Now, if they looked at this with an infrared camera and x-rayed the photo and everything and blew it up, then yeah, it's possible they seen one. But the footage that was released to the public as is, I didn't see one myself. And I'll have to look again just to double check, but I didn't see one.
investigation is about to introduce you to a name that maps onto every single one of those data points. Not through a photograph comparison, not through internet speculation, but through a documented 19-year relationship with the last person known to see Nancy Guthrie alive. But before that name, there is one more piece of the forensic picture that most coverage of this case has glossed over entirely. Investigators found a glove approximately 2 miles from Nancy's home on February 13th, near Orange Grove Road. The FBI confirmed it visually matched the gloves worn by the subject in the doorbell footage. DNA was extracted, run through CODIS. No match in the national database of more than 19 million offender profiles.
Now, folks, I also want to say these people are innocent till proven guilty. And we have no idea if there was any DNA. They can say whatever, we got tons of DNA, and they got nothing. They can say we don't have any DNA, and they got tons of it. I mean, We don't know until this is over with, until they have the people and they can say, this is the DNA, it was a match, or we didn't have any DNA, but this is how we know it was these people. And no one's been cleared, even though they're saying, well, the family's been cleared. Well, maybe a certain agency like the police or whatever cleared them, but that don't mean there's other people not watching and investigating. So no one has been cleared, just like the Delphi case. Yeah, if they knew exactly who it was, I think they would be sitting in jail right now, Debbie. You're right. If they were that good to put this through an infrared camera, x-ray it and dissect it, blow it up, and they seen a tattoo, then they probably, they know exactly who's involved. I agree with you.
The genetic material belongs to an unknown male who has never been arrested and entered into the federal system. CNN's Josh Campbell, a former FBI agent, noted on air that the subject's full-body coverage, mask, gloves, long sleeves, jacket, indicated a deliberate effort to minimize biological trace transfer at the scene. Someone who understood forensics well enough to dress for it, but not well enough to eliminate it entirely. Because the glove was found, and the DNA inside it is now being prepared for investigative genetic genealogy. The question is not whether the science will deliver a name. It will. And the question is whose name it delivers.
And here's another question. You do something like this, and you throw the glove out the window of the vehicle 2 miles away. It don't make sense, Debbie. You wouldn't want to get rid of anything around that area. You'd want to take that stuff far, far, far away. And here he's driving down the road and he's pulling gloves off and throwing them out the window, whoever this is. They said they found 16 pairs of gloves. Do you think these people would be throwing DNA and evidence out the window so close to the crime scene? Kind of weird.
And how closely that name sits to the 4-hour window, the 2007 Craigslist ad, and a friendship documented in band photographs for nearly 2 decades. His name entered public conversation on February 4th, 2026, 3 days after Nancy disappeared. Journalist Ashley Banfield, citing what she described as a highly regarded law enforcement source with direct knowledge of the investigation, reported on air that Tommaso Cioni may be a prime suspect. And those 4 words detonated across social media within hours. Screenshots, comparison photographs, behavioral analysis threads, all of it built around a man whose name most people had never heard before February 1st. Here is who Tommaso Cioni actually is. He was born on June 18, 1975, in San Giovanni Valdarno, a medieval hill town in the Valdarno basin of Tuscany, Italy, situated between Florence and
Oh my God, did they say medieval? He is from a medieval mountain from Toscana, Italy. The great tomato in the sky. Yeah, evil. What? What? You know what? I was watching. I'm not going to lie to you folks. All right. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I'm not going to lie to my viewers. I was watching a documentary on the origins of evil and where it was created. And they're saying it was created back in Italy. Ah, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like the darkest of all darkest of the darkest Italy, Sicily, and Madamalente, Mamada. Great evil of all evil came from Italy. I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to die. I agree, Miss Fox. You just commit something like this, and let's say accidentally you killed her or whatever, right? You're taking her, right? You're related to her. There's photos of you around with her and all this and that. Your DNA and her DNA at their house, at the daughter's house, and at Nancy's, and you throw a glove out the window, 16 pairs of gloves out the window, 2 miles away from the crime scene. That's just idiotic. Either that or somebody very stupid, very dumb. Where is Tomas? Who knows? Maybe Tomas got hit, right? All this talk of him being one of the top tomatoes on the mountain in Italy. Maybe this was a hit. Maybe two of them went, Tomas and Miss Nancy, right? I wasn't even thinking anything about the mafia until they started talking now about he's from Italy. Well, this might be something like that, right? They show up, right? And pa, pa, pa. Maybe someone said they seen a silencer in the jacket, possibly. Maybe. Professional hit. Maybe. That were they acting dumb? Well, they might have been dumb to the house or whatever, right? Whoever did the hit, if it was a hit, wasn't familiar with the house. So them walking up acting stupid and acting crazy or, moving funny might have been real, or even to cover up something else that the guy just pulled off a double hit. Where are the bodies? Who knows? Where's Tomas? No one's seen him. Yeah, this talk of Italy and stuff very well might have been. One might have been at the wrong place at the wrong time. Mrs. Guthrie might have got caught in the middle of it. And the hit was for Tomas, maybe. Maybe. Debbie, I have no idea if they checked the trash.
Rezzo. He moved to Tucson, Arizona in 2006 at the age of 31. That same year, he married Annie Guthrie, Nancy's eldest daughter. In a personal biography he wrote for the Taparulan Cultural Association, he described himself with quiet precision. I write when it happens. I study lizards. I play the electric bass. I make homemade pasta. For over 15 years, he has taught science at Basis Oro Valley, a charter school in Tucson, 6th grade science and AP biology. His colleagues have consistently described him as passionate, methodical, dedicated to his students. Annie, in a 2013 interview, called him her greatest teacher. In 2020, she marked their 10th wedding anniversary with a public tribute describing him as the most beautiful and intelligent person she had ever known. This is the full picture of Tommaso Cioni before February 1st, 2026. A teacher, a bassist, a poet, an Italian immigrant who built a quiet life in the Arizona desert and married into a family that, until that Sunday morning, lived outside the national spotlight entirely. Then the scrutiny began, and it followed a specific chain of publicly documented facts. First, Cioni was the last known person to see Nancy Guthrie alive. He drove her home at 9:48 p.m. on January 31st and confirmed she was inside her residence before he pulled away. That places him at that address, 4 hours before the figure appeared on the doorbell camera. Second, investigators returned to his and Annie's home 5 separate times during the active investigation. Law enforcement was observed at the property as recently as February 7th, with equipment and camera flashes visible through windows. Third, an online document purporting to be a durable power of attorney connected to Cioni circulated widely. Legal analysts who reviewed the document confirmed it appeared consistent with a standard Arizona real estate transaction, the kind executed routinely when one cosigner cannot attend a closing in person. Official sources confirmed it was not connected to the criminal investigation. Fourth, the type of gloves recovered near the scene, nitrile, not latex, matched the material commonly used in biology classrooms. Cioni teaches AP biology. That detail spread across every platform simultaneously.
Aha! And there is our connection also to the Idaho 4 case, where we found out that Brian Kohlberger also had access to gloves like that, latex gloves. Now, them were latex supposedly, but they might have been these Narcan, whatever this other material is, but it's like latex, it's like a rubber glove, whatever. So he was a teacher. So therefore, now he had access to these gloves that were found. But why would he be so stupid to either walk through the desert with Mrs. Nancy Guthrie to his vehicle and throw away? Why is he throwing away so many gloves? Why would he even throw away one pair of gloves? Is my question. Anywhere near there. Three different kind of gloves, Debbie says.
Each individual fact, examined in isolation, means something different than all 4 stacked together. And the public stacked them together. Fast. Then, on February 16th, 2026, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos ended it, or attempted to. And he stood at a press conference and made a precise and emphatic statement, which is worth understanding in full. He said the entire Guthrie family, including all siblings and their spouses, had been cleared as possible suspects in the case. He described the family as cooperative, gracious, and as victims. He asked the media directly to report with compassion and professionalism, and stated that suggesting otherwise was not only wrong, it was cruel. That statement is on record. It is official, as it carries the weight of the Pima County Sheriff's Office and, by extension, the FBI investigation it is coordinating with. But here is the forensic wall.
Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that's the same thing that Doug Carter and the other police said. Was people were cleared, but they were, and when we said it, at the end of it all, they said nobody was really cleared. They were covered, but not cleared.
That statement runs into, not against the family, against the physical evidence. The man on that doorbell camera has been measured. The FBI's forensic unit replicated the lighting conditions. The height determination technology used was described by former FBI Executive Assistant Director Joshua Skula as extremely accurate. And the result? 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches. Multiple investigative journalists analyzing photographs of Cioni standing alongside individuals of publicly known height estimated that he stands closer to 6 feet, approximately 183 centimeters, consistent with confirmed biographical information. Some placed him at 6 feet tall. The math does not close. If the Object on the porch is 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10, and Sione stands near 6 feet. Sione is not the man on that porch. And that is
Well, I can't say that on this channel. I would say the guy's anywhere between maybe 5'7". All right, let's just say 5'8" and 6 foot. And the only reason I say that is you're saying, well, the professionals are saying he's 5'9" to 5'10", possibly 6 foot. So let's just say the guy might be anywhere from 5'7", 5'8". Let's just say 5'8" to 6 foot. Now, I want to also keep in the people's mind that in the Delphi case, when they first came out with that, they were looking for numerous people, right? 5'10", 250 pounds. And that changed, right, to another weight. And then it changed to another weight and height. And then finally, that was it. That's what they thought. But then they pick up Richard Allen and a couple of these other guys, and they were only 5'6". I think the other one was 5'7", and then they did pick up Keegan Kline, the beginning, which he was taller. He was like 5'9" or so, 5'10". So, yeah, pretty crazy.
not an exoneration. That is a measurement. And measurements in a federal investigation built on forensic precision point investigators toward the next question, not the last one. If the man on the porch is not Sione, but the evidence still orbits the people closest to this family, then the architecture of what happened on February 1st requires more than one person. And more than one person means the investigation needs a second name. That name has been there the whole time, by standing in band photographs next to Tommaso Cioni for 19 years. And it starts with a classified ad posted online in April of 2007. April 2007, Tucson, Arizona. 3 men who had never met were each doing what musicians in mid-sized American cities have always done, posting classified ads and scanning bulletin boards, looking for people to play with. It was pre-social media, pre-algorithm, pre-everything. You posted a few lines of text, described your sound, listed your influences, chatter, and waited to see who responded. Dominic Evans, a drummer, found guitarist Walter Fers Gonçalves Jr. through a Craigslist posting. Tommaso Cioni, the Italian immigrant who had arrived in Tucson just the year before, who had just married Annie Guthrie, answered an advertisement in the Tucson Weekly. The 3 met. They jammed. The sound clicked immediately, grungier and more intense than any of them had initially envisioned. They called the band Early Black, post-punk, shoegaze, indie rock, and the kind of music built for small venues and loyal audiences who actually listen. They played shows across Arizona, Tucson, Phoenix, Flagstaff. They shared stages with acts like The Prids, Liars, and A Place to Bury Strangers, giving them genuine credibility in the regional indie circuit. In late 2000,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay attention to the bands that they played with, which was kind of demonic itself. That's some crazy names for some bands. This is a place for strangers to lay. Right? What was the other one? This is crazy.
In 2009 and early 2010, they recorded their debut album at Loveland Studios in Tucson, engineered by Nathan Sabatino. The album received positive reviews in the Tucson Weekly. The name of that album is Life, Love, Love, Murder. State that once. Move forward. Dark titles are a genre tradition in post-punk with roots.
Was what? That was the name of the record, was Love, Love, Hate, Love, Kill, but they were anal freaks. They were, oh my God, I can't even say it. Even in the music was demonic colons. Love the colon, hate the colon, die the colon, whatever, kill the colon. Not the colon. That's what they said, the colon. Kind of covenant colon cult. Colon. Let's rewind that a little bit.
Genuine credibility in the regional indie circuit. In late 2009 and early 2010, they recorded their debut album at Loveland Studios in Tucson, engineered by Nathan Sabatino. The album received positive reviews in the Tucson Weekly. The name of that album is Life, Love, Love, Murder. State that once. Move forward. Dark titles are a genre tradition in post-punk with roots going back decades. An album title is not evidence. It is not a data point in any investigative sense. But in the context of what happened to Nancy Guthrie, the context of a drummer from that record now being examined publicly in connection with her disappearance, it sits differently than it did in 2010. You do not need this script to explain why. You can feel it reading those words. Now here is what matters forensically. Early Black represents something the public conversation around this case has consistently underweighted. Not a casual connection, but a documented, sustained adult friendship built from scratch and maintained across 19 years. Sione married Annie Guthrie in September 2006, 1 full year before he ever met Dominic Evans, which means that for the entire duration of their friendship, from the first rehearsal in April 2007 to the night Nancy vanished in early 2026, Tommaso Cioni was already a member of the Guthrie family. Every conversation he had with Evans, every road trip to Phoenix, every recording session, every post-show hour in a half-empty venue, all of it happened in the context of his marriage to Nancy's daughter. Every story about his life included details about the Guthrie family, about the house in the Catalina foothills.
Oh, I had no idea, Debbie. I thought they were sickos. All right, we're almost done with this.
About Nancy. Not because Evans was asking questions, because that is what proximity does over 19 years. It seeps in. It becomes familiar. It becomes absorbed. Evans himself confirmed the extent of his direct connection to Nancy in his February 25th interview with the New York Times. He stated he had met Nancy Guthrie exactly once, in 2011, when he brought his oldest son to an Easter egg hunt at her home. One meeting, one afternoon in a backyard, 14 years before she disappeared. Drop a comment right now and tell us, after everything this investigation has laid out tonight, what do you think the DNA is going to deliver? We are watching this case in real time, and this community has been ahead of the official timeline from the beginning. Keep watching, because the next layer of the Dominic Evans connection is where the forensic profile of this case stops being circumstantial and starts reading like a documented record. And because when investigators and online researchers began cross-referencing Evans's name against public records in Pima
All right, we're going to end this because this is like a real long video. So we'll do like another part 2, but I'm going to end this for now. And then we might come back and do like a part 2 and finish watching the rest of it. I don't know. What do you think, Debbie? Like the colon mask of grunge. It's a word for grunge. I thought it was actually colon, like your butt colon. But anyways, yeah. So are they onto the right track? Maybe we might be. There might have been many. There might have been more there. You know, Tamos didn't have to be there, maybe, and he got someone else to do it. Maybe Tomas didn't even know about it, and these guys knew that there was either money there or something. Maybe it somewhere went bad. The band broke up, or they fired the drummer because he wasn't good enough, or maybe crazy. I don't know. There's numerous things that could have been done here. Are they onto the right track? Well, that guy Dominic did have the same eyes, but so did 2 other people. I think 2 or 3 other people. So maybe these people are innocent till proven guilty. We have no idea. Maybe someone did. Maybe Carlos was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe other people were hired to do it. We don't know. Stay safe though. Debbie, what do you think? Do we do a part 2 or what? Can you hear me all right? Or is my microphone? Carlos is shady too. Yeah, there might have been other people involved. That would explain why people say, are we looking at the same guy or is it multiple people there? Might be. Might be multiple people there and they're switching clothes. Maybe. Making it appear that there's only one person there. Debbie Fox says, yes, let's do a part 2 tonight or another night. What are you thinking? Yeah, maybe we'll schedule it for maybe something new. Yes, we could do it later. You mean tonight? Well, whatever. You folks, thanks for watching. And remember, we have no idea if any of this is true. We have no idea if the family was cleared. If everyone's saying, well, it was Tomas, he was, well, he's not family. Well, he's married to the daughter. So is he by blood family? No. But he is related to him through marriage. So we don't know. These people are all innocent until proven guilty. Debbie says, yeah, about 10 o'clock tonight. All right. We'll see what we could do. All right. You ladies and gentlemen, be good. We'll be back with more of Nancy Guthrie. I did post in the subscription or description and in chat the channel that we're watching. Go there, sub. They get all the credit. We'll be back.